Hi there, I'm Crystal Gilbert, and I am coming to you to talk about the science of Aroma Freedom Technique. More specifically, the science of memory reconsolidation, which is the how and why this process actually works. So, we're going to dive into it. So, what happens during the Aroma Freedom Technique process is it taps into and helps dissolve what's called a memory complex. So the memory complex consists of 4 components. So there's the negative thought, a negative feeling, the bodily sensation, like where you feel that feeling in your body, and then the memory that's attached to it. So there are those 4 components, and that makes up what is called the memory complex. Okay, so the human memory complex are all unresolved memories that continue to exist in the form of a memory complex. Memory is the faculty of the mind by which information is encoded, stored, and retrieved. Memory is vital to experiences and related to limbic systems. It is the retention of information over time for the purpose of influencing future action. Memories are predictive. They actually help to predict the future. Memory is not actually what happened. Memory is the prediction of what we believe is going to happen. So there can also be levels of fear conditioning with this. So fear conditioning can give us an interesting and varied prediction for the future, depending on if we've been conditioned with fear. So past events predict future events. This is how our bodies are made to function. So there's explicit memory, which would be like a man with a beard who abused a dog, or a man who was an alcoholic and abused his wife. An implicit memory attached to that would be men with beards will abuse a dog, or men who drink are going to abuse their wives. So an implicit memory is learned. And then we go into long-term memory, which is the whole lifetime. So the implicit memory is unconscious, and it affects procedural memory like skills and tasks. The explicit memory is conscious, and it goes into the declarative memory, which are facts and events. And that declarative memory, the facts and events, go into what's called episodic memory, which are the events and experiences, or semantic memory, which are facts and concepts. Memories do not form instantly. Memories consolidate over time. Memories are constructed to organize experiences. So we actually are kind of a sum of our parts, a sum of our experiences. That's what makes up our version of reality. So what happens then is that we believe them to be an accurate portrayal of reality, of what happened and of what will happen. So by rewiring our memories, we can influence the way we react in present day situations. We actually have the ability to change for the better our outlook on life. So memories absolutely influence the future. And this is very important to understand, that emotions are like neon signs telling our brain, remember this. It's flagging it, okay? So memory reconsolidation is a breakthrough that's recognized by scientists. So what exactly is it and how does it work? So it's the brain's natural method of updating our learning to reflect new experiences. There are several requirements needed in order for reconsolidation to occur. First is to activate, meaning the activation of a target memory. Mismatch, become aware of a mismatch between learned information and present reality. Then there's experience. Experience new reality vividly within a target window of about 5 hours, give or take. So then memory reconsolidation can occur. So we're bringing subconscious things up to the conscious level and dealing with them accordingly, and taking those things that are shifted and bringing them into what's truth. Our impression or perspective of what happened along with what it meant to us is what constitutes a memory. So I'll repeat that. Our impression or perspective of what happened along with what it meant to us is what constitutes a memory. So it's not even about an accurate depiction of it as far as what was true, but how it affected us as far as the impression, perspective, and how it made it feel for us, and different components like that. So this is also why, like, if there's witnesses being interviewed for a crime, everyone can have a totally different perspective on it. We know this, that's statistical fact, that everyone's going to have a different perspective of truth. It's very fascinating. So with memory consolidation, it starts with sensory information going into short-term memory, consolidating into long-term memory, going into rehearsal, and goes back kind of into a loop into the short-term memory. So how emotions affects encoding. And if you're a science or tech geek, I just think of encoding like my son, who is very into coding and creating his own video games using HTML and JavaScript and stuff. So if we think about our bodies in that way, these emotions and memories, memory complexes, do kind of get encoded into our bodies. Our bodies have an impeccable amount of memory that can be stored in them anyway. So this is definitely warranted to spend more time even just thinking about how this stuff affects us and what actually does get stored into our bodies and the memory. So events experienced with moderate to high degree of emotional intensity receive more focal attention. The brain labels it as important. It flags it, just like we flag our email coming in as important or spam. An event with little to no emotion, you will not remember much about it. An event with a good amount of emotion will be well remembered. And then there's this. An event with intense emotion or over-the-top emotion leads to hippocampal processing of explicit memory is inhibited. The implicit memory is encoded. Explicit memory is impaired, and it can be poorly remembered or inaccurate. So I'll repeat that. An event with intense emotion or over-the-top emotion can lead to an inhibition of the hippocampal processing of explicit memory. Implicit memory is encoded. Explicit memory is impaired. And it can be poorly remembered or overall inaccurate. So going into the two types of memory a bit more, explicit versus implicit. Explicit is remembering events. Implicit is procedures. Explicit, autobiographical memories. Implicit, motor tasks. Explicit, facts, concepts, names, etc. Implicit, basic attitudes, biases, assumptions, etc. Okay, and I'll go through and read that again. Explicit, remembering events, autobiographical memories, facts, concepts, names. Implicit, procedures, motor tasks, basic attitudes, biases, assumptions. Those are the two different types of memory. So examples, explicit would be reciting the order of the keys on the keyboard without looking. Implicit would be typing your name without looking at the keys. Explicit, I was bullied at school. Implicit, people don't like me, so keep my head down and don't connect with others. So now let's go into smell and the brain. The olfactory nerve connects directly to the limbic system. The limbic system is our guidance system and uses feelings and emotions to determine actions. This is where the primitive approach, avoidance, or safe versus unsafe feelings are created. Now there's this little walnut-shaped thing located in the center of our brain that's called the amygdala. And the amygdala has two functions. Number one is it triggers the fight, flight, or freeze survival response. And two, it processes smell. Smell is an immediate trigger. So the Aroma Freedom Technique can be thought of as an amygdala hack, since they use the sense of smell to overrun the amygdala. So it kind of overrides it. Again, if we're going with computer and tech references, the essential oils and the Aroma Freedom Technique specifically help to override the amygdala's response. During the process, the amygdala is unable to process everything at once, so it focuses on the smell. And this allows the memory to dissolve and fade away. So you actually hold the power to improve your entire way of viewing the world. You can literally transform your mind and how you view it. This is all about mindset here. It's absolutely. So you can actually help to clear away anything that does not align with reality. So can memories actually change? Yes, the implicit memories can change during the Aroma Freedom Technique. So remember, the limbic system is our guidance system, and it uses feelings and emotions to determine actions. Your implicit map or your inner rules are what actually run the show for you. These are our habitual things that we do. This is why we try to do something, but it's almost like we're self-sabotaging and we get in the way of ourselves. You know that phrase, we are our own worst enemy? This can actually be a legitimate thing. This is all about the implicit memory. So how we learn. Classical conditioning is associating stimuli that occurred together. So just like the famous Ivan Pavlov study with the dogs and the bell and their saliva would produce when they heard the bell. So the dogs salivate when they hear the food bag open. A newborn baby associates the smell of mom with food, things like that. That's classical conditioning. This happens with this. Operant conditioning is learning how our behavior leads to outcomes, such as B.F. Skinner's box study. So example, a child learns throwing a tantrum will get him what he wants. Then there's observational learning, which is copying a model we see in our environment. So classical would be a change in stimuli will gradually reduce or extinguish fear. Operant, repeated tantrums with no response will gradually extinguish tantrums. Observational, finding a new role model will gradually generate new behaviors. So there are some great things to that. Sounds good, right? But there's more to it. There's something called spontaneous recovery. So after unlearning, you can relapse. The old learning never actually went away. It was just suppressed, like putting a Band-Aid on it. So under stress or triggers, old learning emerges. This is huge, okay? Huge to understand. Emotional explicit memory is the basis of many symptoms people have later on in life. Emotional memories are forever. But now we can actually change those emotional memories. Breakthroughs in memory reconsolidation have shown the brain's natural method of updating our learning to reflect new experiences. New research shows that the neurons unlock when a memory is reactivated, and they stay up there and open and unlocked for about 5 hours, after which they relock. This phenom is across the species. There is hard science showing this. You can use chemicals to disrupt the neurons, but why if there's another more gentle and natural way? So some examples of reconsolidation are reforming a negative first impression of someone, gaining a more mature perspective about a situation, and clarifying exactly where something is. A study using electroconvulsive shock treatment, or ECT, showed that if the person was thinking about the symptoms, thoughts, etc., during ECT, complete relief occurred. So you must activate the memory to clear it. Now, I don't particularly want to do electroconvulsive shock treatment, but the information gleaned from that is very vital. So what does this mean for you? It means that you can change your life. Absolutely. So to do so, you must be able to name the feeling. You must be able to feel it in your body. And that's the proof that you have activated the memory. Okay, so that's part of the memory complex, right? Then you smell the oils. They help create the change in the neurons that then allow them to reprogram. So then finally, you're cementing in the new reality with the power pose and affirmations. So you're rewriting those things in there. You're rewriting it to how it should have been all along or needs to be now to align with where you want to go. So all of the above takes place in an Aroma Freedom session. So in summary, the Aroma Freedom Technique accomplishes the 3 things neuroscience has shown to be needed. Activate, which is focus on the image, feeling in the body, and the negative thought. Mismatch, smelling the oils to calm the amygdala and create a mismatch between memory and feeling. And the third is experience, noticing new feelings, thoughts, and guidance. Affirmation and power pose with oils creates that new experience reality. It solidifies it and completes that rewriting or reprogramming process. So this entire process leads to a prediction error. Activating the memory complex activates a prediction that this feeling will last forever, that this bad thing will happen, that this belief will be true. It also opens up the synapses for reconsolidation. So smelling the oils during this time window creates a prediction error. A mismatch actually rewires the memory complex into a positive direction. And oils are the fastest, easiest, and most gentle way to get this error, to get this override, if you will. So here are some signs of a true reconsolidation. So a specific emotional reaction abruptly can no longer be activated by cues and triggers that formerly did so, or by stressful situations. So just think if someone posted something on social media that really triggered you before, you go back and the same thing is like, nothing, no big deal. That's a good indication that something has shifted. So then there are symptoms of behavior, emotion, semantics, or thoughts that were expressions of that emotional reaction also disappear permanently. And then non-recurrence of the emotional reaction and symptoms continues effortlessly and without counteractive or preventative measures of any kind. So it's not going to just come up again. It's not like that suppression and the Band-Aid effect where it just pops up again. This actually gets cleared, rewritten, reprogrammed, whatever verbiage you want to use. That's what happens. It's a permanent change, a permanent healing, a permanent shift, whatever terminology you want to use. So what does this mean for you? Well, among other things, no longer being upset when you think of painful memories from your past. This is really huge as part of the healing journey. Being permanently free from cravings and self-destructive patterns, another huge thing. Being able to release past limitations and accessing your true creativity and joy. You can rewrite any belief that you're not good enough, you're not worthy. You can help embrace your true value, your true worth, and live the life you were created for. So I hope that has been helpful for you, that you didn't get too overwhelmed with the science terminology there. But there is so much good stuff here. And yes, this isn't woo-woo, voodoo, or hoodoo, or anything like that. This is actually legitimately built on science and how our bodies were actually created to function. So when we learn the tools that can help go along with our natural processes, we can do amazing things towards total healing, recovery, and wiping off the junk that can come on us in life to live authentically us. And I've personally experienced this freedom, and I want you to experience that as well. So I hope I see you again in some more videos, and contact me if you'd like to talk about this. Tell me what you learned. Tell me if anything just did that to you. What did you find fascinating about this? What did you already know? What would you like to try? All right. Bye for now.